So if you look at all of our leaders in Africa, they are not in the paradigm, in the frequency of Ibrahim Traoré. So Ibrahim Traoré is a mirror. It is an image that the ancestors is giving us of what we expect of our leaders in the future.
He is the father of all Burkinabés. He's not here to be the father of his children. This is the father, and I will even say the father and the mother of Burkinabés, because we saw that he incarnates, that perfect balance of the divine
Yes.
masculine and the divine feminine.
A large number of people released energies of love towards our leader, Ibrahim Traoré, creating a very magnetic, large group of energies of egregor of Ibrahim Traoré, an egregor of love, of light. So it is this egregor of light that has gone and surrounded our leader, Ibrahim Traoré, and is protecting him from negative energies.
Hello and welcome to Self Upgrade. Today we are going to talk about something that I believe is very important for us to touch on. First of all, we are going to talk about our brother, Ibrahim Traoré. Lately, we heard a lot of things and we saw the rise of the children of Africa to support our brother. And this is not random. People talk about him a lot when it comes to politics, when it comes to what he's doing for his people. But have we stopped for a minute to ask ourselves, who is he? Who is he from a spiritual perspective? That's a question that actually my brother, our brother Arvie from Zola Bantu here, and myself have been questioning. Last time we were on a video call talking about something else, and we found ourselves, talking about Ibrahim Traoré. And before we were on the same frequency when it came to the energy that we feel around that brother. So first of all, let's welcome our brother Arvie from Zola Bantu. Hello, brother Arvie. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. Thank you so much for inviting us to the platform Self Upgrade Podcast, one of my favorite podcasts on the network. And I'm so excited to come here again for the second time. Yenge, shalom, brothers and sisters across the globe watching us from all over. We come here with so much blessings and love, and we hope to really have an amazing session with Queen Aida today to speak about one of our elder and ancestor, Ibrahim Traoré.
Thank you, brother Arvie. I'm so pleased, like you said, this is your second time here, and the first time you came and we talked about African spirituality.
Yes.
And the knowledge that you shared there. I think from my perspective, it's something that, brought me so much wisdom, from a spiritual perspective, and tools for me to use. So I will put a link here for you guys to go and have a look because it was powerful. It's, Brother Arvie, as I mentioned earlier, is a spiritual teacher, and he leads the community of Zola Bantu. So I suggest that you go and have a look because, he has lots to teach us, basically. So,
Absolutely.
Brother Arvie, you mentioned there, you talked about Traoré as Ibrahim Traoré as being an elder, an ancestor. So this is something that basically, many people won't necessarily understand. They'll be like, it's just Ibrahim Traoré. So what do you mean by ancestor or elder? Can you explain a little bit by what you mean by that?
Oh, thank you so much for that beautiful question. In African spirituality, in Kimuntu, we come from the stars. I think we mentioned it in our last episode. We come from the stars, and in the law of the universe, there's what we call the law of reincarnation. It means there's a cycle, there's a recycle in nature, and we do not come to this particular dimension for the very first time. No, we have been here before, and we come here over and over again. First of all, to grow our own spirituality on the inside, but to also share what we have explored in other dimensions to be able to share to humanity. So, brother Elder Ibrahim Traoré that you see here is a spirit of evolution who basically has traversed many dimensions, lived in many times in history. And at this particular time, we are blessed with an opportunity where he has been able to come in this particular incarnation to help move the African agenda forward. So he is an elder, he is an ancestor. It means he has lived in other past lives that we're going to be able to speak about today as well, which I got a few revelations from that I spoke to Inaida about, and he's basically not here for the first time. And you can even see by the way he acts, the way he's handling these countries' politics, his leadership. It is not something that is spontaneous. No, it is something that he has cultivated for many thousands of years. That is why you see he has survived many of the things that's happening to him. So he's someone who has a very good stronghold, and he knows what he's doing, and he's very well protected. So he's a man on a mission who has seen the errors of the past, and he's trying as much to make sure it does not happen to him what happened to other leaders back in the days like Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X. So he knows the enemy better than the enemy knows him, and we're really excited to live in the time that basically he's with us here on the earth. Yeah.
Actually, that's a very good, transition to my question now, because I'm asking myself, like, why now? Why has he chosen this time to incarnate in our continent?
Why now? It is a very good question, Queen Aida. We're living in the time of Aquarius. It means we're living in a time where there's a new energy coming into the system of the universe to bring change, because there's a new kingdom, a new lifestyle, new civilization about to be born. So the ancestors in the kingdom of the night, remember, we have night and day. So when we live on the earth, we live in the day, but there is also a dimension of us of the night. And they are preparing for a new phase in humanity. And that preparation requires certain leaders to come and set the foundation for this new civilization. So Brother Ibrahim Traoré is one among those teachers, those leaders that need to set the foundation for a new Africa. So he's laying in the foundational pillars to be able to begin a new Africa. So these sort of leaders are needed at this particular time of Aquarius, a time of change, a time of knowledge. So many people have come. Aida is here as well. She's playing her part in this whole mission. Brother Ibrahim is there playing his part. I am playing my part. You are playing your part. So we are all in a team, and everybody has a role to play. So it's like a relay, a relay. You a relay race. You pass the stick to the next person, and today we're passing the stick probably to Queen Aida today. You don't know. She may impact us in a greater way. So it is important at this particular time, because this is the time of change. I think Queen Aida will speak upon numerology behind Elder Ibrahim Traoré. So the change is happening, and the world needs change makers, and the ancestors have sent change makers for this particular phase to be able to take off this particular time. So it is really important to have strong people. When a rocket is about to set off from the ground, it requires a lot of energy, to push it from the force of gravity. So we need certain leaders like Ibrahim Traoré to get us off from the force of gravity. So by the time we enter into space, the journey becomes much easier. So we are really graced to have an amazing leader like him today in our lives, Queen Aida.
That's amazing. You said something there which reminds me of, you said that basically we need a new type of leaders who are there for the people, basically, not just the type of leaders that we have been seeing in Africa, the type that are there to enrich themselves and their families. We don't need those anymore. That's the past. I remember back in 2000, I think 2020, I heard a lady, because I'm an amateur of astrology. I like astrology. I practice astrology for my personal use. So I was, watching some astrological forecast for the years to come. And the lady said that in the years from 2022 to 2030, we are going to see the rise of a new type of leaders. Some leaders who lead from the heart. Basically, they don't hide anything. You see them for what they are. Because so far what we have been used to seeing are hypocrites. People would tell us, okay, the country doesn't have any money. We don't have any money to build roads. We don't have money to build hospitals, but obviously they are lying. We have our minerals, but they sell them, and they take the profit for themselves. But now, with this new type of leaders, we are seeing people who are coming for the interest of the community,
Exactly.
who are not just driven by their own gains. They are not there to enrich themselves and enrich their family and friends. They are here to raise the orphans. They are here to look after the widows, and basically they are here to help people. So, this leads us to trying to dig, to explore a bit more, that spiritual side of life, and that spiritual side of our brother, our elder, as brother Arvie said here, Ibrahim Traoré. So, first of all, from a numerological perspective, every name has a frequency and a vibration. So when I say, for instance, Ida, you just hear a sound, but that sound carries, a frequency, a vibration that is, unique to that name. So we all have that. Your name is not just a name. There's a frequency there that, says something about you. So let's try to find out regarding our brother Ibrahim Traoré. What that name has become like when you hear that name, when you hear Ibrahim Traoré, as an African, there's something that it does to your heart. The vibration speaks to you.
Yes.
Obviously, the only name, the only language that we are used to is the spoken words, the spoken language. But there are different types of languages. Frequency, like when you say a name, when you say something good, it carries a frequency and it does something to you. When you say Ibrahim Traore, as an African, it speaks to your heart chakra. It's straight away, it speaks to your heart chakra. So let's see from, like, what does this name say to us, Ibrahim Traore? So we are using the Chaldean name numerology reading for to find out about his name, and I see here that actually his name, the expression or the destiny number is number one, and I think yes, and I think all of us when we say number one, he's the number one. It's already says something. Number one. So here, number one is about leadership. It's
Yes.
about independence and
Yes.
creativity. So
Yes.
this is definitely, when we hear the name of Captain Ibrahim Traore, we straight away think about leadership, a leader, a real leader. That's the frequency that his name carries. So that's just one of the layers. And if we go further and actually see what they say here about the number one, it says that the sun rules the number one. The one means leader, independent, creative. So this person is influenced by the qualities of planet Sun, like firmly, so they are firmly determined, brave, and they have some leadership qualities. So he is an original thinker, an originator of all actions. Yes. So he has the quality to control everything around him. Can you believe that? Sometimes he becomes stubborn and angry when things do not happen according to his desires. So determination. So he is a real and original thinker, creative and dominant. Like, his personality is dominant. You know, you have to be like that if you want to be a leader. I cannot go there and be a leader because I'm not dominant. So yeah, I mean, this is just the first layer, and you see already when I say all those things, you can see our brother Ibrahim Traoré in this description. So, what
Wow.
are your thoughts, Brother Arvie, about this?
I absolutely in agreement with you on the leadership, and you mentioned about the sun. I was looking at my candle and the fire burning, and what we're doing today with Queen Aida is we actually have a ceremony going on here. Even as much as we're speaking about our great leader, Ibrahim Traoré, we are actually doing a ceremony and a ritual for our leader. You can see our setup. The Queen is dressed in black, and I'm dressed in black because today is Saturday. Happy Black Day. It's the day of the ancestors. It's the day when we remember our celestial citizenship. It's the day when we basically look at our ancestors and what they have done for us in our lives. Christians are putting into the Sabbath, but it's actually a day when you basically get in touch with your ancestors. So you dress in black, how the Queen has dressed, and you can see before us here, we have basically the plant. Uh, plant here on the screen. This is a symbol of nature. You can see on the Queen's background is also plants. It's a sign of nature. And we have a glass of water here. This is a sign of Mama Ndombe. You can see the Queen's glass. It's a sign that the feminine energy of Mama Ndombe is with us here today. And why water? Because even on the inside of us, it is water. Yeah? So as in as out, as above as below. So we have water on the inside of us, represented here by the glass of water, and we have the most important part is the fire and the light of a candle. Light, the white color represents purity and good health. We want good health for our leader Ibrahim Traoré. That's why I've lit this white candle over here, and the fire it is burning. It is a presence of the Most High with us here today. These are the symbols that we have put before you. When you're basically trying to do some rituals for our elder Ibrahim Traoré, try as much to have some of these elements with you. Try as much to dress in black. Try as much to have an element of nature. You can see the element of nature has been represented on my body also with this scarf that has the green color on it, some flowers, which is green. It is also representing Mother Nature. So to be in touch with our ancestors, you also have to depict certain things on you that can connect you to them. And color is very, very important, and certain elements of nature also it is very, very, very important. So the Queen just mentioned that Elder Ibrahim has some sort of a sun. I think you mentioned the sun effect on him. It's basically that fire, the Most High is a leader, and the Most High is represented by the sign of fire. So any leader that is coming to bring change into, especially in Africa, has that power of fire, and fire here has the red color on the inside. That is why you see that many leaders they walk on the red carpet is a sign of power. And Ibrahim Traoré is a leader that has really brought that power element of leadership into Africa. And you can see the impact of his leadership is affecting the youths and everyone in Africa because he has that fire, and fire burns negativity. When you light fire, it burns negativity. It makes the enemy shake. So his leadership aspect has that stronghold of fire behind him, and that is why these people are shaking. They can't help it because of his leadership skills. Number one, and the Queen mentioned, he has the number one, which is basically a number of leadership, of basically change. And that number one brings behind it with fire, inspired by the rays of the sun. So it is really, really important that even as much as we are having this ceremony, we have the presence of nature. Even within us, in our physical body, we have an element of nature. The plants that you see here, I think this comes from the family of aloe vera, right? It blocks negative energies. And we as human beings, we also have trees that we call hair. The hair that we have on our head are antennas. It connects us to the dimensions because even trees tend to receive light by the process of photosynthesis, and they turn it into food. So the trees that you see in the environment is depicted on your body by the hair. So I don't really encourage people to cut their hair, keep it growing. So this is just to go back to say, in agreement with what the Queen has mentioned on the number one of leadership, which has fire behind it, is what we see with Ibrahim Traoré. So when you are basically trying to pray for this leader, trying to pray for this young leader, he may look young in the flesh, he's only 37 years old, but he's an old spirit with so much experience. So always remember to light some fire element to give him even more strength and power in whatever he's doing for us as African people. That's what I can say, Queen Aida, basically, as we basically continue this session for Elder Ibrahim Traoré, the fire of Africa.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful what you just said there, because you mentioned just like a small parenthesis here. You mentioned the fact that our hair, work. It works like antennas that connect us to our ancestors. That's something that I didn't know, and when I didn't know that, I was ill treating my hair. I was, relaxing it. I was wearing, stuff like on top of it. And, what us Black women tend to, to do to our hair. And when I learned about that, our hair basically links us to our ancestors, to the divine, I stopped doing all those things. I stopped. And that's when my awakening, now I'm more intuitive. Like I'm a Cancer, I'm supposed to be intuitive naturally. But because I was doing all those things, it was just blocking my intuition. I was not receiving any downloads, or maybe I was receiving some. But now
Yes.
that I just left my hair to grow naturally, I definitely the level of intuition has has increased. So that's something that even our brother Ibrahim Traoré is bringing. Basically, he's bringing, because I saw that he prohibited the children to go to school with some like wigs or stuff like that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we need to learn those things. And also we need to understand that what is happening, first of all, maybe this is something that we should have highlighted a bit more in the beginning. As Africans, we have been used by the Western system. They use our energy. If you watch the movie, The Matrix, they tell us that we are being used as some battery to
Exactly.
feed some type of system, to feed the matrix. That's
Exactly.
that's an image which is actually real. It's
Yes.
something that they are doing to us. The spiritual world is a world which is as real as this one. And the
Yes.
system, the Western system, like, the people ruling that system, they know very well about the spiritual world. And they use us, especially us Africans, because we have forgotten who we are. So they use us, they use our energy to feed on agendas that we don't have anything to do with, that we don't even want. But because we are ignorant of our power, we naturally go and feed, and help them basically bring those things about. So what I wanted to
Wow.
say here is that, what we saw on the 30th of April, it was the big, the rise basically of the African consciousness.
Yes.
We saw our people rising more than ever. We never saw that before. Even the enemy was surprised. I'm sure that they didn't think that, something like that was happening. And even us, because we think that we are isolated. Oh, I think that, Ibrahim Traoré is great. And we believe that it's just a small group of people who think that way. But that day, we saw that, it's not the case. That, that brother has had an impact on every single, almost, not all, because obviously some of our brothers and sisters are still deeply, uh, deeply basically sleeping, and therefore the matrix is like
Mm.
holding them and using them still. But those whose
Exactly.
DNA, yeah, whose DNA has been awakened to who we really are, we saw, Africa rising to be like, okay, we are with you because we see you. We see you. We don't just see that, the avatar standing, in front of us. We see your spirit. We can't explain it, but we see you. That's what is happening. So that's the
Wow.
spiritual level speaking. We need to take that power back.
Can get there.
We need to take that power back. And we saw that on the 30th of April, it happened. And Brother Arvie, I'd like you to explain a bit more about egregores, because I think that, that's something that we need to explain to our people, to our brothers and sisters watching this. When I say that we are feeding on, whatever agenda they have, basically they create a vision, a dark vision, and for that vision to happen, they need energy to feed on that, to bring it, to materialize whatever vision they have on the spiritual level for it to become real here. But once
Wow.
again, I'm just going to explain my line of thoughts, what I'm thinking about, and then you can explain the egregores, if that's okay.
Sure,
So
sure.
I believe that on the 30th of April, we have created an egregore of light, because
Yes.
so far,
Yes.
Africa is full of egregores. Africa is full of egregores, but they are dark egregores, egregore of death, egregore of illness, egregore of poverty and limiting beliefs. They have been feeding us. When you watch the TV in the West, or even in Africa for that matter, all you will see about Africa are just dark things. So we are feeding on that idea of Africa being that, dark place where there's no hope, and stuff like that. But once again, I believe that on the 30th, we created an egregore of light to protect our brother, Ibrahim
Hallelujah.
Traoré.
That's
So,
awesome.
Brother Arvie, can you feed a bit more on this? Can you explain a little bit more about
Oh, I
egregore?
am
And yeah.
I'm truly impressed, Queen Aida, for having someone like you, a queen that understands spirituality to this dimension. It's not easy for women of today to speak the language that you are speaking. I hope people will be able to watch this podcast 7 times. Seven is a really amazing number. So it can really engrave into your spirit. What the Queen has highlighted is something very, very important of what exactly happened on 30th of April. There was some powerful force that was created, an energetic force that was created behind our leader, or to our leader Ibrahim Traoré. And she mentioned in the beginning, Queen, I really salute you for bringing that up on the Matrix. I'm sure many of you have watched that movie, that how they have turned humanity into batteries, and they are sucking the energies to be able to amplify their metropolis. So the matrix is an egregor. The Queen has really explained it very well, that there are different types of egregors, egregors of poverty, egregor of hate, of religion, of racism. All these are egregors. So they have basically created centers of energies, and because they are artificial energies, they need to be reinforced. You know, if you have a car, you want it to work for you, you put fuel. You put fuel because the energy of the car is artificial. You need to continue going to the petrol pump to be able to have your car filled with the tank to be able to drive it. But the energy that is created from spirituality, it is an energetic energy which basically does not necessarily need a reinforcements daily from the artificial energy of the matrix. That is why the system of the matrix needs to be reinforced for them to continue to have dominion over us. And that is how they have turned us into batteries, and they use our energies to be able to reinforce themselves in what we call an egregor. So what is an egregor? An egregor is basically egg, egre is basically energy. Gregor is groups of energies that goes out. So an egregor, it is when one or two, three, four types of energies come together to create an even larger force of energy, and this tends to influence humanity and people in one way or another. It is a Greek term, an egregor. So it is basically a center of energies. And what the Queen has mentioned, it is basically for example, the matrix. So an easy explanation of the Gregor could be what? You look at the water cycle. I mean, if your Queen, even the children will be able to understand this. Water evaporates from the ocean. It rises in the form of vapor. It forms into clouds. The clouds move from one place to the other, and when two clouds hit or meet together, they may create some sort of what we call a lightning, which breaks the cloud, and then rain falls. Right? So water evaporates, forms into clouds, and then later on clouds break, and then it falls into rain. So this is the same thing with basically energies. I mentioned that the hair that we have on our head is basically a transmitter of energies. So everything that you think, your life, and everything that you do turns into energies. And those energies rise. Different types of energies of the same frequencies combine to form what we call the cloud, which is an egregor. And then later on, the cloud can break and then influence people into doing things to the left and the right. So the system of Babylon has an agenda via the entertainment industry to put certain ideas in people's minds that basically controls the way that they live, so they can harness the energies that you produce, use them against you. An example that we can be able to give in the science of Gregors, for example, is what happened in the Rwandan genocide. Because people look at how people were killed in 1994 as the product, but if you go back a few years before the genocide, you would see how the Europeans were manipulating the minds of the Hutus and the Tutsis, putting new and wicked ideas in their mind of hate. So the egregor of hate was amplified among these two groups of people. And later on, when the cloud of egregor grew larger and then it broke, it pushed people into the act of murder, and over 900,000 people were killed. So all this was manipulated by a few individuals by controlling the energetic output of people. So egregors can be wicked egregors, but egregors can also be egregors of light, Queen Aida has mentioned. So what happened on the 30th of April was a large number of people released energies of love towards our leader, Ibrahim Traoré, creating a very magnetic, large group of energies of egregor of Ibrahim Traoré, an egregor of love, of light. So Bob Marley says, why do we sit down and look where they kill our prophets? They have been killing our prophets in the past because we as people in Africa have not been producing the kind of egregors to protect them. They took Magufuli, they took Steve Biko, Marcus Garvey, Samora Machel, Malcolm X. Why? Because they did not have the strong energetic forces created by people that love them to protect. So Fumiyesu says that where two or three are gathered in my name, I am there with them. So it means when you create a center of energy around someone that you love, that energy has the power to protect. So as fathers, create energetic energies for your children. You can do this by words, speaking words of love and protection to your children. My child, I have not done anything to anybody on this world. Whenever you go out of this house, you'll be protected. The ancestors are going to protect you. You'll be taken care of. Those are energetic energies that you're releasing that surround your child and protects your child from any negative energies. So on the 30th of April, something massive happened. The number of people that went out to support this young leader that we know as Ibrahim Traoré have created this center of energies. It exists. As much as it is invisible to the physical eye, but it exists in the physical dimension. Now we need to be able to reinforce it. Because we have created the center of energy of Ibrahim Traoré, which is now in the astral dimension and is protecting this young leader. He has survived over 21 assassinations. Why? Because of the love that people have for him, it has been protecting him. We made this mistake with Magufuli. When we came after Magufuli, we did not create the centers of energy to protect our leader Magufuli, unfortunately, but we are not making that same mistake with Ibrahim Traoré. So this particular podcast is very, very important, my friends of Africa, and I'm happy that Queen Aida has brought it to your view. It is for us to create the sort of energies that can reinforce this new baby of egregor that we have created of Ibrahim Traoré. So there are certain rituals that we shall speak about that you need to do on a daily basis or on once in a weekly basis to be able to reinforce this egregor of Ibrahim Traoré. We shall be able to speak about it. So, Queen Aida, thank you so much for bringing this up on egregor. It is very, very crucial, and I really, really want us to reinforce this egregor of light that we have produced in Africa. We have 1.2 billion Africans on the continent, 400 million Africans outside, right? I'm sure many of you are seeing how they have inaugurated this new Pope in the Catholic Church. Why do you think the Pope is so powerful? Because we have 1 billion Catholics who are channeling energies to this one particular guy. That is what makes him so powerful, because of the energies he's receiving from 1 billion Catholics. So imagine if we have 1.4 billion Africans sending energies of love to Ibrahim Traoré, no one can touch him. And we need to do this for all of our leaders. But I'm so excited we're talking about Ibrahim Traoré, and I really, really want us to produce the kind of energies that can protect this particular leader. And he's going to be untouchable. It becomes like a pyramid. When you channel the energies, it makes him to stand out, and he's protected by the ancestors even more. So we want people from Malawi, Zimbabwe, from Mauritius, from Tanzania in your homes to have pictures of him on the wall. Those of you who are musicians, sing songs about him. Those of you who do meditation, incantations, do incantations and prayers towards this particular leader. We shall be able to show a few rituals that we need later on, what you can do in your home. You don't need to go out, but you can just do it in your room to be able to reinforce this egregor of life. Because the kingdom of Babylon is after him, for sure. So it is a battle of energies. Before they kill the physical, they first need to kill the spiritual. So the battle at the moment is they're trying to assassinate him spiritually, and then assassinating physically would be easy. But they are not going to do it because of the 30th of April. Something massive happened that we are going to reinforce going forward to make sure that he and many other leaders who are coming in this dimension, in this particular time of Aquarius, to bring change, really fulfill their missions. I don't like the graveyard, Queen Aida, because the graveyard is the richest place on the earth. In the graveyard, you find plans and visions and dreams that were not fulfilled. People took it to the grave because their life was cut short because of poverty, because of many other manipulations. But we have to let people come into this world and give out everything that the Most High put in them to bless us. We want Queen Aida to give us everything. We want her to leave us empty. That is the goal. So we want Ibrahim Traoré, with everything he has accumulated in his past reincarnations and past life to fully give it to the African population so that we can be able to say, look, this man has really helped us in our time. So that's what I can say, Queen Aida. And honestly, every time you mention about the Grego, I get emotional because I see the impact of how our lives are manipulated daily by the Gregos. So the media is a $1 billion industry because it is really a tool of the creation of energies and manipulations of energies. So Ibrahim Traoré has taken certain actions in the country of Burkina Faso that has really, really prevented the Western people to control the minds of Burkina Faso. And that is what we need to do in all African countries. Western media is no longer available in Burkina Faso. And you may think, oh, he hates you. No, he's protecting the energetic frequency of Burkina Faso to not be influenced by other people. So we need to be able to follow his leadership. Do not look at how young he looks at the skin, how he's a young guy. No, 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 no. He's an old spirit. He's simply in a younger physical body, but he's an old ancestor. So we need to be able to unite and behind his leadership to be able to be blessed with what he has brought us from the higher dimensions. Every leader, every person comes to this dimension with a purpose. Everybody has a purpose. And we have to have the humility to submit to certain purposes of other people. You know, we should not have the ego to say, why him? Why him? No, we have to have the humility to recognize that each of us has something to give, and we need to give space to the others to give what they have to give to us. So, this egregor that we are reinforcing of Ibrahim Traoré, which symbolizes fire, it is something very, very important for it is a duty for all African people to do. Every African person has a duty to basically reinforce this egregor to become as bigger as it can be. And we shall see the manifestation of this great leader in our midst in the years to come, surely. It's already happening, but it is going to really, really impact Africa even more and more. He's one of those leaders that is basically showing an impact for a change for a new Africa. So if you look at all of our leaders in Africa, they are not in the paradigm and the frequency of Ibrahim Traoré. So Ibrahim Traoré is a mirror. It is an image that the ancestors is giving us of what we expect of our leaders in the future. So in the next 100, 200 years time, we shall be having leaders like Ibrahim Traoré all over Africa. So even the African leaders currently will combat him, but we can stand with him by reinforcing this egregor of light that our elder Queen Aida has mentioned. Over to you, Queen Aida.
Oh, wow. Brother Arvie, I love how you explain such complex, information, but you find a way to simplify it and to make it accessible to all of us. So thank you for that. And I will have two things to add to your reflection before we move on. You mentioned we talked about the fact that they use our energy, and you focused on the fact that that day on the 30th of April, basically it was all about love. We
Yes.
wanted to show our love for him. We want to show to him that we are with you. We may not be there physically, but spiritually we are right there with you. So, that was
Yeah.
magical, because when I
Yeah.
mentioned that, Babylon, the way you call them, use our energy to create their own egregores of, their own evil egregores. Usually, for instance, let's talk about Black Lives Matter. You know,
Yes.
you, of course, some people were killed, and it's sad, but they use that, the system used that to get million upon millions of Black people to go in the street and be enraged, and express their anger, and so that was the worst thing that we can do. Go outside and express anger, and be on a very low vibrational energy. We shouldn't,
Yes.
we shouldn't do that. No matter how
Yes.
mad we are, we shouldn't all unite like that to express anger, because what is being created is just evil. It's not what we want to create. We think that we are driven by love, when to show that we love those people and we are not happy that they are gone, but actually we do the opposite of what we are trying to do. And the system knows that. So they are happy. They will even organize, they will put people on they will pay people to go and organize those demonstrations, because they
Yes.
know the effect that it does on a spiritual level. And once again, it keeps the Black community on that very low frequency level where we don't want to be. You see,
Yes.
so we need to understand that manifestation with what we did for Ibrahim Traoré. We expressed love. Love, that's very different from what you usually see. When you see demonstrations, you will see people not happy, trying to show that they are not happy with whatever is happening. But when you look at Ibrahim Traore's, the demonstrations that have been going on globally, we see people, praising him, people supporting his initiatives and being like, yeah, don't touch him because we love him. We are with him,
Yes.
so get away from him. So, that's an energy that's powerful. It's more powerful than going to demonstrate and, shout and all that. So that's the
Wow.
first thing I wanted to say. And Brother Arvie,
Yes.
I think when you were explaining about egregores, you also mentioned once again the fact that he's an elder that's need, our protection and our love. So last time when we were talking, you mentioned the fact that you got some downloads regarding his past lives, and could you share that with us?
Yeah. So one of my biggest inspirational leader was in the Kingdom of Mali in the 1300s, Mansa Musa, and it is said that he was a very rich king. Very rich, and he went to Mecca. He had a pilgrimage of over 8,000 people that went to Mecca in the Holy Land to be able to pray. And he was a man of so much wealth. Yeah, he basically had so much money. Some people say that he was the richest man alive ever since the earth began. But there are even the debates on that. But he was a great leader in terms of the economy and maintaining the kingdom of Mali to be one of those kingdoms that was very rich in Africa. And one thing that I was doing a research on was trying to find some of our past lives. Because I, for example, I was in Babylon in my past incarnation. I was in the kingdom of Babylon in the time of Nebuchadnezzar, with Elder Daniel and things like that. And so I look at my past in the Akashic records, even though it's a whole different dimension, it requires a lot of discipline, a lot of for the ancestors to reveal to you some of your records in the Akashic record. That is the fourth dimension, right? It's really a level of purity that is so elevated. So to be able to tap into the book of Ibrahim Traoré is not so easy. But I just got some reflexes, some reflexes of this leader. He has a lot of the red color in him, which represents power. You see, in spirituality, we do have the blue color that represents the priest. We have the yellow color that represents the scientists that basically produce goods and services for the population. And then we have the red color, which is the fire of the Most High. It represents justice. It means any person who has the inner ability for leadership, for governance, tends to have that red color so much in their system. So Ibrahim Traoré has a lot of the red vibration in him, and even the aspect of military that he was If I could just mention a few things, is he was born in Burkina Faso in 1988. He grew up in Bobo Dioulasso. He studied in local schools, attended the University of Ouagadougou, studied geology. He was an active student in different organizations. He joined the Burkina Faso Army in 2010. He served in many anti-terrorism operations. He was promoted to captain rank. And then in 2022, he led the coup in Burkina Faso, the change, 1+4=5. He became what we call the interim president. And then he focused more on national security, and he has basically strengthened anti-terrorism efforts. He has promoted regional stability in Burkina Faso. He's also a very big advocate for youth empowerment, and he basically has gained so much international attention, and he has collaborated with many African leaders, and basically he has highlighted Burkina Faso's basically the challenges of Burkina Faso. So he gives us those reflexes of Thomas Sankara. Many say maybe he's a reincarnation of Thomas Sankara and things like that. But when I was doing some readings on him and studying his life and his energy, I think the Queen reinforced it even more with his numerology. I linked him to a particular group of people in the time of Mansa Musa in Mali, because Mansa was a very rich political leader, but the strength of his leadership was protected by a group of over 10,000 horsemen. In the kingdom of Mali, there was a group of over 10,000 horsemen. They mastered the art of fighting in horses. They would use spears made of iron, and many people may know this group of people back in the days. They were known as the Mandekalu. The Mandekalu were basically an organized division of West African Mali Empire, and they used what we call bows and spears. They were warriors. They used swords and sabers. And this 10,000 group of army that is known as the Mandekalu, they are they are the strength. They were the strength behind the kingdom of Mansa Musa. So they really protected his kingdom to reign for almost so many years, the Mandekalu. And one of the leaders in the Mandekalu, from my revelation that I got, was basically this young spirit that we know as Ibrahim Traoré today. He was among the captain ranks of the 10,000 horsemen of the Mandekalus that led and protected the kingdom of Mali for years with the leadership of Mansa Musa. So when I received this revelation and I looked at his life of how he came into power in the coup, he really he really does not need to be the president of Mali, but he needed to get to that particular position because there was no one else that could take that part. But he's not someone that will cleave to power and hold it to himself. No. When he finds that things in Burkina Faso are stable, he will definitely give the leadership of the country to someone who is a political leader and things like that, who is wise and things like that. But he has taken the part because there's no one else that can be able, has the integrity that he has. But his background, Kunaida, is military. His background is to protect, like how the leaders, how they protected Mansa Musa's. That's where he stands. He's more in the red color, military. So that's why you see, it says that he studied geology. I don't know if he was trying to understand the minerals of the earth. People who are very strong in the army, they need to be very close to the earth to understand the forces of the earth when protecting people. So he basically comes from one of those 10,000 horsemen that protected the kingdom of Mali in the time of Mansa Musa. And he gained so many military skills back in the days, and even in his other past incarnation, that has helped him to overcome the Western influences in Burkina Faso. So, as much as like I was in Babylon, he was in the time of the Mandekalus. I don't know if some of his priests in his council have revealed this to him, but I hope this message gets to him. It is that the kingdom of Mansa Musa reigned in wealth and in rich because of the Mandekalus. And I believe he's trying to bring Burkina Faso to become like the Mali Empire, to become so rich and wealthy by protecting, first of all, the nation of Mali. And him being, I love how he dresses in the military attire to show that the country is still going through so much pain. So that number 5 of change, he works with it even in the way that he dresses. And I mentioned something very important to Queen the last time, was that if you look on his left cheek here, he has a mark. He has in French you say cicatrice. He has a
The
mark
scar.
of a scar. You know, warriors back in the days in the kingdoms of Africa, when they went through initiation and they were given a certain particular rank. You know, Americans give them ranks over here, but they used to give them ranks on their skin. They would put something on fire and burn them on their skin. Now, spirits who have gone through such initiations, when they are born, sometimes when they begin to grow, those signs begin to appear on their skin. Well, I don't know if he got this in the army, but if he was born with it, it is a sign of leadership. It is a sign of pain. It means someone who has overcome difficulties and has succeeded. So wherever the spirit of Mansa Musa is, he looks down on Africa and says, "Wow, the Mandekalu." I love to call him Ibrahim Traoré the Mandekalu. And he's really someone that has had experiences in combat, experiences in protecting the integrity of a nation. And you know, Burkina Faso, Thomas Sankara said, it is a nation of men and women of integrity, Burkina Faso. And we are blessed to have him and Eman Nekalo as a leader in the nation of Burkina Faso. And I think it is something that we need to be proud of, Queen. This is a spirit that has traversed so many difficulties. I'm sure even in the time of slavery, some of these people who were fighting against oppression, they preferred to die than to be a slave. He was amongst some of these things. But the only revelation that I got was linked to the man, like Carlo, the horsemen, 10,000 horsemen that helped the kingdom of Mansa Musa to flourish. And here he is in our midst, Queen Aida. What a joy.
Wow. That's so powerful. That's so powerful. And it makes sense. It makes sense, like, someone who basically knows about protection, and when we see what he's trying to do today, it's the restoration of the Mali Empire, because the
Wow.
AES, that's a part of the Mali Empire, coming together. So, I mean, that's wow. That's powerful. And you mentioned that you incarnated in the time of Babylon. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Queen Aida, I knew you would touch on that.
Oh, you know me.
Well, we had. I was in the council of Prophet. I had an opportunity in my lifetime to meet the spirit that wore the body of Prophet Daniel. And we know in the scriptures that was locked in the den of the lions, and he was able not to be consumed by the lions because of the other angels and entities that were around that closed the mouth of the lions. I was one of the students of Prophet Daniel. In this particular incarnation, when he came to the earth, he wore the body of my spiritual leader, and he spent almost 20 years in spiritual awakening to discover who he was. But if you read the story of Daniel, when he went through the fast of 21 days, it says that an archangel appeared to him and told him that you are going to be one of the ministers in the end of time to restore our people into spiritual awakening. And Daniel reincarnated again in this particular dimension, even though he left us in 2019. So people are coming, Queen Aida. Different people of the past. I think Daniel met the brother of from Yesu, John, who also left. People are coming and they are going without saying anything. So I was among some of the students of Prophet Daniel, because when our ancestors were taken into deportations, you know, Daniel did not have the opportunity to travel, and the archangel and his spiritual leaders, because he was the prime minister in Babylon by then, they had asked him to build a home and let the window of the home face Jerusalem. That's every time I hear that song of Master KG, Jerusalem, you feel the energies of the drums that we are going to be able to return. It is that. So what Ibrahim Traoré is doing is restoring that Jerusalem, that new Africa. So I was one of the students of Elder Daniel, Prophet Daniel Ekumani, back in the time of King Nebuchadnezzar. We didn't get the time to return to the heart of Africa like everyone else. I think Nehemiah and the others went on a very long journey to return to the heart of Africa about 690 AD. But we basically were stuck in deportation in the time of Nebuchadnezzar. But Prophet Daniel later on, uh, unfortunately, he was given a prophecy of the 77 weeks, I think the 70 weeks of when the kingdom of Jerusalem will be restored. So I was just a student of him in the time of Babylon back in the days. So it is it's a very big, it gets me very emotional when I think of it, because when I was born in this particular incarnation, and when I was almost 22 years old, I met my spiritual leader again. Immediately when I heard him speak, I could connect and say, we know each other. Queen Aida, when you meet someone, you feel like you've known them for a long time. You have that spiritual synergy. So he reinforced me spiritually. And unfortunately, we didn't produce enough egregores to protect him. Yeah, the kingdom of Babylon took him away in 2019, unfortunately. But we don't want to make the same mistake again with Ibrahim Traoré, who was a great leader. So yes, I was in Babylon in the time of King Nebuchadnezzar, just a student of Prophet Daniel Ekumani, which.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. Sometimes I think that my husband, for instance, is spiritual, but he
Mm,
finds me spooky. So, so there are things that I can only tell him and not anyone else, because I know that if I tell him, he won't think that I'm crazy, basically.
mm,
So, I meditate a lot.
mm.
And in my meditation, sometimes I get downloads, or in my dreams, by the way, as well. I get,
Wow.
downloads that sometimes I don't understand straight away. It's only with time that, I get to understand. And,
Mm,
I basically was show, in my meditation, I saw basically that I've been here quite a few times for this same
wow.
thing, for exactly the same mission, for exactly why I'm here today. I've been
Okay.
here, but for some reason, I couldn't unlock my throat chakra, basically. Expression, I couldn't express myself. I
Wow.
had lots to share, and I had lots of wisdom that the world needed, but my throat chakra was completely blocked every time. And I would go back, when you were talking about the graveyard being like the richest place on earth, I got emotional there. I
Mm,
got very emotional because each time I will come back, I will incarnate knowing what I need to do, but I just couldn't, you know, like my throat, it was all about the voice, my throat chakra, I want to be able to do that. And this
mm.
lifetime, because I was shown that, that's when I was like, well, not this time, not this time. this time I have to do something. I have to, because I grew up as a very, very shy little girl. I used to
Wow.
be shy, even to, I remember at school, even to ask to go to the toilet. It was
Mm.
very, very challenging for me. So
Wow.
I had to grow out of that, because I had, lots of great things, and I have experience and wisdom that comes to me that people can do lots of things with, like that can be useful to other people. But those times I wasn't able to find a way to channel that, that wisdom. And this time I'm like, okay, let me
Wow.
look for as many ways as possible. Podcast. I'm now working on my book. So yeah, I'm
Wow.
when you know who you are and why you are
Mm.
here, it's
Mm.
easy for you to walk your path. I'm not saying that I know exactly why I'm here, but I know that it has something to do with my voice, finding my voice. So I'm on that
Mm.
quest. And
Wow.
it's not as clear as it was for you, but
Mm.
just knowing that the fact that I'm here because I didn't manage to unblock my throat chakra for many lifetimes. I was like, okay, I need to work on that and get it done. If I come back
Mm.
here, I don't want to come back here for the same reason, basically.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
how we were talking about our brother Ibrahim Traoré and the revelation that you brought about his life, his past life. When I was looking at his birth chart, I also got that impression that this is a guy on a mission. This is someone who is here to work on one thing and one thing only. So I'm going to try and share my screen, and I've never done it here before, but let's try. So here, this is his birth chart, and it can be complicated for people who don't know how to read birth charts. So what I'm going to
Mm.
do is just to scroll down because there's a bit of explanation here. So here I just
Mm.
put, just for to explain why this is showing as 3 p.m. I have no idea the time that he was born, but three is one of the numbers that really characterize him because he's a communicator. He's a communicator, and when you analyze his numerology, three is also a number
Mm.
that keeps coming. So I just used it.
Mm.
And he wasn't born in Ouagadougou, I know, but the place where he was born was not on the tool, so that's why. So if
Mm.
we scroll down here, if you look at your birth chart, you will notice that you have at least three planets that go retrograde. But for this guy, for Ibrahim Traoré, you see here, because the North Node, like no, ignore the North Node because the nodes are always
Mm.
retrograde. So this is perfectly normal. They are always
Mm.
retrogrades. But apart from the nodes, like I said, that are always retrograde, you notice that there's
Mm.
only one planet that goes retrograde in his whole, birth chart. And that
Wow.
planet is Pluto.
Wow.
Pluto is the most karmic planet. Like,
Mm.
yes, in astrology, this is the karmic planet par excellence, Pluto.
Mm.
And we see that Pluto is retrograde and it's
Mm.
retrograding. So Pluto represents, first of all, Pluto represents transformation.
Mm.
Pluto represents
Mm.
transformation. It also represents power. And most of the time, power struggle.
Mm.
Then here you have Scorpio, the sign of Scorpio, which basically represent also transformation. So we have, transformation within transformation, if you will.
Mm.
So
Mm.
the guy is back, For me, I like to, when I saw this, the song that came to my head, it was Return of the Mac.
Yes. Yes.
Return
Brilliant.
of the Mac, because this is
Mm.
a guy basically who was working in transforming something, and he's back basically to continue that work. He's
Exactly.
here to continue, that leadership, the power struggle that I mentioned, to transform. So that's exactly why he's here. And also another thing, so when you look at a birth chart, there are 2 degrees that are called critical degrees. And those critical degrees are the 0 degrees and the 29 degrees. And for him, he happens to have 0 degrees in Uranus. So Uranus in Capricorn at 0 degrees. So Uranus is the planet of change, the planet
Mm.
of innovation, the
Wow.
planet of technology. And we are finding that within the sign of Capricorn. So Capricorn is the sign of hard work, of perseverance, determination, action, basically, getting things done, the planet of discipline.
Wow.
So we have, this very, very powerful aspect happening, in the sign of Capricorn. Is like,
Wow.
once again, it's very significant. This is very significant because it shows that the guy is action oriented and he knows what he wants. Basically, he knows what he has a vision, and he knows that vision is going to require action. And if you look at Mars, his Mars, if I can find it, so Mars, you see that his Mars is also in Capricorn. So Mars, as you know, is a planet of action. A planet of action. So the guy is action oriented. Like, this is for me. If we look here, we can see the cluster, like, within Capricorn. So you see, Pluto, and you see Mars as well. So for me, this is this incarnate the masculine energy, the divine masculine, if you will, that he basically embodies when we look at him. The military guy, the strong guy. Basically, we see that here. So he is action oriented. He has a vision. He has a vision. He knows that that vision requires action, and he does take that action to make his vision
Yes.
come true. And
Yes.
I just mentioned the fact that, for me, this reflect, the divine masculine that he embodies. And when you look on the opposite side, on the sign of Cancer, so Cancer is his ascendant. Cancer is his
Oh,
ascendant. Yes, it means that
wow.
basically this is the image that people see in him. The protector, the protector. The guy, basically the person who leads from the heart chakra. He is not heartless. He's a military guy, but you can see that this is a man with a heart. This is a man who feels, which is something that we don't see often in leaders. You have, very masculine people, and they lack that, emotional sides. So for me, this tell me that this is a spirit that has incarnated with the perfect balance of masculine, divine masculine, and divine feminine. So the
Bring it.
the perfect recipe for a leader. So
Bring it.
obviously there are lots of things that we can say here about him, but I just wanted to highlight that. And once again, I'd like us to go back to Uranus at 0 degree of Capricorn, because that's very important. I want us to understand the importance of that leader that we have there, because once again, the way we've been highlighting throughout this podcast, we want you to understand that that's not just your usual leader. That's an
Exactly.
ancestor. That's a man who is here on a mission. And I think
Exactly.
that on a spiritual level, most Africans have understood that. It's just that we are not used to saying stuff like that. We don't say, oh,
Exactly.
he's an ancestor. We don't say that anymore because we have lost our spirituality. But this is a leader, this is an ancestor who has incarnated on a mission. He's here basically on a freedom mission, if you will. So,
Yes.
regarding the 0 degree, Uranus at 0 degree in Capricorn, basically, like I said earlier, in astrology, 0 degrees, all it's called 0 degree basically is considered a critical degree because it represents the beginning of a new cycle, but also it represents, purity, the purity of that energy basically. Yes, it represents purity as well, which is very powerful. And
Wow.
yeah, so like I was saying, Uranus, is innovation, and so we have innovation associated
Creative.
with fresh start or new beginning. So this is the beginning of a new, basically a new. How can I say that? A new system, because we will see later that with this placement as well, you have people who come basically to disturb the status quo. People who come, yes, people who come to to erase all the mistakes, all the systems
Yes.
that were before them and that were not working,
Yes.
and they bring the new. So this
Yes.
vibration at 0 degree is very powerful. This idea of
Wow.
bringing the, starting a new beginning in transformation and innovation.
Wow.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah,
Absolutely brilliant.
yes.
Astrological.
And
Brilliant.
also, regarding this placement, it suggests a strong need to disrupt. As I was saying, it's not just he doesn't just wish, but for him, it's more than a wish. It's a need. He needs to disrupt and reform. He needs to disrupt, reform, establish systems. Like for us, it's the colonizer is still there. We are not colonies anymore, but the colonizer is still there, controlling our,
Exactly.
our wealth, controlling what we can and we can't do. So basically, he's here and he's determined to make sure that that stops. It's the
Yes.
end of that old system now. He's here to show us basically the blueprint for the future. So,
Get that.
that's just amazing.
That is, oh,
And
wow.
so yeah, we can't wait to see what he has in store for us, basically the ideas that he's going to come up with. And I'm just going to read this because I think that it will also reflect that idea that he embodies, the new way of doing things. Basically, here it says that the people who have this particular placement, which is Uranus at 0 degree in Capricorn, and especially in the seventh house of partnership. So with these people, their approach to relationships and partnerships is anything but traditional. So they have an innate desire for independence and individuality that can make
Wow.
them seem like a bit of a rebel, even in the most formal of settings. They have a strong sense of responsibility and a desire to achieve, but they are not afraid to break the rules if it means getting what they want. And these people are drawn to unconventional relationships and they value their independence within them. So, this is something that I want to read again. They are drawn to unconventional relationships and they value their independence within the relationships. So, this is very important because it means that these type of people can't be corrupted.
No.
They have
No.
ideas. They know that to bring about their vision, their ideas, they have to partner, they have to develop partnerships. And what they are not interested in is to develop the type of partnership that you would expect. For instance, in our case here, in the case of Burkina Faso, the leaders have been developing partnerships with France. They were not trying to look around to see all the options or all the opportunities that would be better for the advancement of their ideals, but they were stuck with that one and only partner that was France.
Yes.
But for him,
Yes.
he is not interested in that. He's unconventional. He's looking for partners basically that are not conventional, are not your first option, if you will. You see?
mm,
And we see that with Russia.
mm,
Russia right now, they are not very popular, but for him as a leader,
mm,
after having analyzed the situation, he understood that he has to be strategic. He has to be strategic, and Russia was the perfect partner for Burkina Faso, at least at this time. And
exactly.
once again, he can't be corrupted because this is a man with a vision. He knows what he
Exactly.
wants. He knows what is good
Exactly.
for his people, and
Mm,
he's unwavering. Like no one or nothing can make him change his mind. It means that you can give him billions upon billions. He won't take them because for him this is a need. He needs to transform. He needs to reform. He needs to
mm,
innovate. So this is the
mm,
man who is in front of us, and we need to understand that and really seek to protect him, because as you saw in the chart, he his ascendant is Cancer, and Cancer is a protective sign. It's a sign of family, basically. It's a sign of family. So I am a Cancer. My son is in Cancer, and I know what I'm
mm.
talking about here, because
Wow.
we seek to protect ourselves, and then we not only ourselves but also the people that we value, the people that we
Mm,
love. So we want to
mm,
protect them, and if you touch just if you touch them, you are in trouble, basically.
exactly.
So this is
Exactly.
what exactly what we see with our brother Traoré. He's a man who is
Yes.
here. He is the father of all Burkinabés. He's not here
Mm,
to be the father of his children. This is the father, and I will even say the father and the mother of Burkinabés, because we saw that he incarnates, that perfect balance of the divine
yes.
masculine and the divine feminine. So I will
Indeed.
just finish reading here, and then we can move on to something else. So
Wonderful.
here, still with Uranus and Capricorn in the seventh house, in astrology,
Mm,
people with this placement are seen a bit like a unicorn, a rare
mm,
and magical creature that's always
mm,
surprising and never boring. So this is just to tell you that this placement, this particular placement we're talking about, is very rare. It's very rare to find people with this placement. Uranus in Capricorn in the seventh house at 0 degrees. Very, very rare.
mm,
And these people, once again, are not interested in being normal. They want to be extraordinary.
mm, mm,
Yes.
mm,
They want to be
mm,
extraordinary. So this is not an actor who is just there who is just doing a few things to win, the love of people, like, of Burkinabés and the rest of Africans. This is a man. What we see, what he has in his heart is what we see. He's
mm.
not hiding anything. So this is a
Yes.
protector that needs protecting.
Exactly.
And the
Wow.
protection, as brother Arvie was saying, the protection that we can bring him is through our energy. It's not a physical protection. We can't, I'm in England, and you are probably watching this from maybe America, or wherever you are in the world. So we can't be there physically, but still we can protect him on a spiritual level.
Exactly. Wow. What an amazing astrological message that you just shared. Wow. Wow. Everything the does is just connecting. It's amazing. It's really amazing what you just shared. I was just looking at the rising from Cancer. I'm like, wow, the yin and the yang. He's on a balance, on a scale.
Mm.
It's very rare to find the divine and the feminine, the divine and the femininity and the masculinity. So aligned, like in an atom. It's brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you, my brother. I mean, it's very powerful because many people, I heard many people saying that, Africa, most of our leaders, like when you go back to our ancestors, most of our leaders were female, because,
Mm-hmm.
like only the mother, basically, the mother is known for being protective, you know. So if you put a woman at the head of a state, or a community, she will be a better
Mm.
leader than a man. But
Yes.
what I was trying to show there is it's not necessarily like that, because once again, the feminine and masculine are just energies, and we all have them. We all have them. I have the masculine in me, and obviously the feminine is the dominant one. But
Yes.
when a spirit has reached a certain level of how do you call it, of growth, you know both we are supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
mastering, on the same level, both
Yes.
the feminine and the masculine. We are not supposed to be like, oh no, the masculine is up here and the feminine is down here, or whatever. Even if you are a female or a
No.
man, we are supposed to, to have a certain balance. And with our brother Traore, we can see that that balance is there, and it is also reflected from what we see from his actions. The guy is there, he's building, he's taking care of his children, basically. The Burkinabé, for him, they are not just they're not just people. He is the head of the state, and he thinks that those are his children. It is his duty for him to protect them. So those are the
Wow.
type of people that we need to have as leaders, and we are blessed once again to have him. So let's pray for
Yes.
him. And about that, brother Arvie, how we were talking about the egregores and how we can, amplify the egregore of light that we have, given birth to on the 30th of April. Obviously we can do that individually, but when a group come together, when we come together, even just in spirit, the energy is far, is amplified. The energy is
Yes.
very powerful. So this is why I'm thinking that, we need to have like meditation sessions, to pray for our brother, to send him good vibes, and also to amplify that egregore that we have created. Because what happens with egregores as well, what we need to highlight, is that an egregore, if you don't feed it, its power and energy decreases.
Exactly.
Yeah, it decreases. The power and energy with time will decrease until it becomes weak and doesn't work anymore. So we need to make sure that the one that we have created there, which is beautiful, we need to feed on it constantly, not just that one, one off and then we leave it. So that's why I'm going to have these live sessions for us to, maybe once a month, for us to pray, not just for Ibrahim Traoré, for our brother, but also for our continent, and to
Yes.
to build that light all over Africa, and fight the darkness that we have helped to create, that they used us basically to create those dark egregores around Africa. We can fight them with egregores of light. That's what I
Exactly.
wanted to say. So regarding
Yes.
the sessions, I will give you more information, on when and how. But basically, it will be just a live session during which we will pray for Ibrahim Traoré, and then pray also for the whole continent, for our ancestors to bring the light. Because I'm sure that they are looking up there and they are already, they are getting excited about what is happening now in Africa. So this is
Ah.
a very exciting time. You know what? That day on the 30th of April, I was so emotional. I was supposed to, to to work on a video, but I just, whenever I will, take my phone and see all the people manifest, I will just be tearful. You know, I was
Oh.
like, I was like, I can't record the video now. I just can't, because
Oh.
I was like, oh my God, what a beautiful time to incarnate. What a
Mm.
beautiful time. I'm sure that, many souls would have given, anything to be able to incarnate on this time,
Yes.
to witness the
Yes.
rise of Mama Africa.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
are here today and we are lucky enough to see that. So,
Wow.
praise the Lord and praise our ancestors.
Okay. Okay.
So we are going to stop there, but first Brother Arvie, you mentioned the fact that you were going to show us a few, techniques when we want to send some good vibes to our brother. So what can we do? Some rituals basically to, to pray for our brother Ibrahim Traoré.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Queen, for that opportunity. And thank you for mentioning something very, very important is that we need to be able to pray to reinforce the energies of our brother Ibrahim Traoré that we have created on the 30th of April. The Queen mentioned that Brother Traoré rises towards Cancer. So he has basically the masculine and the feminine in balanced in him, the yin and the yang. It means in each of us we have those energies. We have the masculine energy, we have the feminine energy. And even though mine, the masculine is more active, the feminine is a little bit asleep, but we have to balance the masculinity and the femininity. That is the purpose of marriage. You see? So our brother Traoré has that equilibrium of the yin and the yang. Mbo Nampia. In Congo, we say Mbo Nampia. So he has that balance of the masculine and the feminine. So we have to help him in each of those branches. So first of all, for our queens, you know very well that your cycle is linked to the moon, right? Your menstrual cycle is aligned with the moon, right? So I think the full moon will be available on the from the 12th, from the 12th to the 15th, we're going to be having the full moon somewhere there. So it is very, very important, our queens, especially for those of you who want to support Brother Traore and reinforce the energies, is when the full moon appears, you have to make sure that you basically place in a water basin. This is the glass of water, but place a basin of water outside from 6 p.m. so that the water can download the energies of Mama Ndombe. So for those 3 days, from the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th and the 15th, let the energies, let the frequency of Mama Ndombe be captured by the water basin that you want to place over there. And then when the full moon is over, you use that water, you place it in the middle. It could be in your room. You place it in the middle. You light a candle on the right, a black candle, preferably a black candle on the right. And then you can have maybe a symbol of a plant or anything close to nature on the left. All right. And then you take a picture of Ibrahim Traoré. If you can print a picture of him, you put it in front of you. Right. And then you begin to do prayers. You begin to thank Mama Ndombe for his life, for bringing him to this incarnation. She's the one that received him in this particular incarnation. You have the picture of Ibrahim Traoré in front of you. You have a water that you downloaded of Mama Ndombe's energies during the full moon. You have a lit candle on the right, a plant on the left, and then you begin to proclaim words of blessings and protection to this leader. That's one thing that you can do as a ritual for our queens, because you are the ones that have the menstrual cycle linked to the moon. For our kings, what you can do is when the sun is rising in the morning, when the sun is about to rise in the morning, you come out and look at the sun. You speak to the Tanzambi to bring protection upon this leader, Ibrahim Traoré. If you can have his picture, you can show towards the sun for the energy of the sun to touch. That's another ritual you can do for we basically who are the men. You can speak to the sun. For the women, you speak to the moon. That's one thing that you can be able to do as a ritual. And there's also one more thing that I wanted to mention as a ritual that you can be able to do for our elder is that you get a white bucket, you put water inside, you add some sea salt inside using a spoon or a table salt. You get a lemon, you cut a lemon, you squeeze a lemon, even 7 slices of lemon, you add it to the water. And you can either use the book of Psalms, Psalm 35, Psalm 23, or Psalm 46. All right, you begin to pray by repeating those Psalms, Psalms 35, Psalm 23, Psalm 46. All right, and then you put your legs inside the water and you begin to meditate. All right. So you pray that every chain, every attacks of the enemy towards Brother Ibrahim Traoré should not work in any way or any form. All right. And then you dip your finger into the water and then you pour it in on your head. That's another thing that you can be able to do as a ritual for Brother Ibrahim Traoré. And if you like to go to nature, like for example, tomorrow is Sunday. Sunday is the day of the green color. It's a day where we celebrate nature. You can go out into nature. You can dress in a green gown. You can sit on the floor with your legs crossed together like this, and you can have a picture of Ibrahim Traoré over there in front of you, and then you can speak to Mother Nature to bring protection to this king, to protect him. So you can do some of these things, some of these rituals in protection of our leader Ibrahim Traoré. So I was speaking to the queen last time, since he was born on the 14th of March, right? So you can make sure that on every 14th of every month, if you are in Burkina Faso, try to make that day very special. A day when you reinforce the egregores even more. A day where you take your children to maybe a statue of him. You know, you can teach about his life in the schools on the 14th of every month. You know, and then the women can do, I think by the 14th, it will be a full moon, obviously. The women can be able to do their full moon rituals on the 14th, and you can try as much on the 14th to make sure that you sing songs, you know, you do prayers in remembrance of this king. I and the queen will be on the live to be able to do our prayers as well. But for those of you on the ground in Burkina Faso, try to use that 14th day of every month as a reminder to reinforce the egregores. 1 plus 4, 5, change. So it's up to us to be able to take this forward, my Queen Aida. Thank you so much.
You know, I love the way you finished it with that, change. Change, because 1 plus 4 equals change. But when you see one, leadership, and 4, that's the number of foundation, the number of stability, the number that also reflect family, and then you put both of those numbers together, you have number 5, change, which he incarnates so very well. So, Brother Arvie, thank you so much. This was powerful. All the information, all the wisdom, once again, that you shared was just, amazing. So, thank you for blessing us with that. And
Um,
we thank you for your time, for being with us here today. And like we said, we will keep you informed regarding the live, meditation and prayer session for our brother Traore and for Africa. And make sure to like, subscribe, so that, when we have more of these, discussions, very important discussions that us as African people need to be having in this time, because we need to change the narrative. We can't stay here and let the enemy, start to broadcast lies about our leaders, because we know that's how they get them killed. Last time I was watching, I was just, scrolling on my phone on YouTube, and I came across a video that was shared by RFI. It's a French, basically, it's the equivalent of CNN, but basically it's a news outlet. And I was watching what they were saying. They were talking about the demonstrations, the global demonstrations around Ibrahim Traoré, and the fact that people are praising him. Basically, they don't understand how we can, love a man like that. They don't understand why a man who came out of nowhere can be loved. Everywhere in the globe, people love that guy. We don't love him like the physical, but we love what he embodies. His
exactly.
values, because in his values we see the values of our ancestors. We see
Exactly.
the values of our we actually, I think there's
I
something in
agree.
us like a radar. We recognize our ancestors, but because we have lost our spirituality, it's difficult for us like to translate that into a way that we can understand what is happening, but it does happen anyways. But to come back to that video, they were saying that, they read some of the comments that people shared on social media, and then they concluded by saying that it looks like Ibrahim Traoré is paying influencers. When they, when they said that,
Oh,
I started laughing. I was like, "Are you
come
joking?"
on, come on.
So
No, 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 no.
I was like, "Are you joking? He must have paid me as well." Because
It's a good one.
because I only have good things to say about him. I mean, they don't
Mm,
understand. And once again, they are still trying to undermine the movement that is happening right now, but it's impossible for them to, to achieve that. And I would even go further by saying that, yes, he has paid all of us. He has paid us, but he didn't pay us with US dollars. He didn't
yes.
pay us with their euros. No,
Mm,
he didn't pay us with their goddamn CFA,
mm, mm,
CFA, the French currencies that, that they use to basically steal money from Africa. He
mm.
hasn't paid us with any of those currencies. He uses
Mm.
a spiritual currency, and
Hi,
that
yeah, yeah.
spiritual currency is called hope.
Hi, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
called hope.
Yes.
So that's how he's paying us. So
Yeah.
they need to come to understand that this is a new day. This is a new
Mm,
dawn. And
mm,
Africa, is rising with a new breed of leaders. And
mm, mm.
there are many Ibrahim Traores right now in the continent of
Ex-
Africa. But it's just
Exactly.
a matter of time before they manifest themselves. So all those people broadcasting those lies, they better understand that that's whatever they were saying, that Africa, that they were putting in that box of poverty, of stupidity, of whatever bad, that box doesn't exist for us anymore. In our reality, we have already stepped into new Africa. Africa, the greatness of Africa, that men like Mansa Musa that we mentioned earlier incarnated. The greatness of Africa, that's men with great thoughts like Lumumba incarnate, embodied. That's the Africa that we see today. And that vision is
Wow.
so strong in our brains that they can't stop it. They can't stop
Yes.
it. So
Wow.
anyway, we can
Wow.
go on like this forever, but
Thank you so much.
obviously we have to stop somewhere. So we're going to leave you there with those thoughts, and make sure to to share your comments down, under in the comments box, to tell us about what you think about these sessions, and also what do you think about the fact that we want to have that live session to pray for our brother, and will you be part of it? Thank you, Brother Arvie. Once again, thank you for honoring us with your presence, and we hope to see you in the live session as well.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. I'll be there. Thank you everyone who's watched us. Please subscribe and like and share this video. It's really amazing. And please try as much to tell more people about this channel. Pineda is doing such an amazing job. A book is coming, huh? She's writing a book. So you should be the first to order it. When the book comes out, we're waiting for it so much, with so much hunger, Queen. So with Zola Bantu, we live in love, and Zola Ngangu, Lendo Nsakumpamvu, Nzinga, Akumatatu, Maramba Kongo, Tubunda Pandu, Katubani Panduko. We love you so much, and I hope that you'll be able to be blessed with this video, and I hope it reaches people in Burkina Faso so they can be able to share it and really join us in activating and amplifying this amazing egregor of light from the 30th of April. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
everyone.
And I will also put some information regarding Zola Bantu. If you want to learn more about African spirituality, our brother here is one of the best teachers, that you can basically learn from. So make sure to check him out, to check Zola Bantu, to see all the wisdom that he's sharing there every day. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you for following this episode, and we'll see you in the next episode of Self Upgrade. Bye.
Bye bye.